Hi, friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is something that I have picked up from the suggestions that you guys have given. I keep asking these Ask Me Anything notifications on my Instagram page and Facebook page. And a lot of people have requested me to talk about this particular topic. In fact, this particular topic comes up in most of my career coaching sessions as well. When I take sessions with working professionals, it comes up. And that's exactly why I'm talking about this particular topic today, which is how to deal with toxic behavior or toxic people at workplace. Now, a lot of times I see that a lot of people come up with this problem and they are really suffering. And that's exactly why, like I said, most of you all have really come back to me asking me to do this topic. Now, why is it? I would say this is something which is behavior for a long time, has always been, right? We've always heard about corporate politics and some or the other colleague not behaving in a particular way or trying to be bossy with you or dominating and things like that. That's always been there. But particularly after the pandemic, post pandemic, the effect is much larger, I would say. I've seen that more prevalent now, primarily because, we have been used to sitting at home, working in our own comfortable ecosystem, in our own environment. And suddenly, after 2 years, 2.5 years, now our bosses are pulling out all of us out of our comfort zone and, getting us back to the office and getting us work with each other. That's actually adding on to the pressure. That's actually adding on to this toxic behavior, I would say. So that is why, a lot of people, and I can say that predominantly a lot of people are asking this question again and again, that, how do I deal with a particular person who's behaving toxic with me? Or how do I deal if someone's gossiping behind my back or trying to belittle me in front of people? How do I handle all of that? So that is what I'm going to talk about today. While honestly, I haven't really faced so much of a challenge at my workplace in my career, I have had situations where some of my colleagues have been a little toxic, or that's always there. Like corporate politics is always a situation in every organization, but you just need to know how to navigate your way through, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today. How did I navigate my way through, and how do you manage to handle such people rather than getting confrontational with them? How do you really navigate through that situation and come out of it and lessen your pressure and stress, is what I'm going to talk about in this video today. So you know the drill, friends. Before we go ahead, click on the subscribe button if you already haven't done that. And I'm going to share some information, some very, very important information with you. So keep your pen and paper handy so that you can make notes and also adapt that in your life right from the very beginning. Okay, so let's get started. So now, before we go ahead and understand how to deal with toxic colleagues or toxic behavior at workplace, let's first understand what do we mean by toxic behavior. Now, this really means that that kind of behavior where people are emoting negative behavior at workplace, negative behavior with respect to probably gossiping behind your back, spreading rumors about you, belittling you or undermining you in front of people, or talking sarcastically all the time, or critiquing your work all the time, trying to find faults in your work all the time. There are a lot of people who are spending a lot of their time and energy in that kind of stuff as well. Also, I would say things like, even if someone is really trying to push their workload on you, trying to kind of get their hands off and push more work on you so that you can then always be absorbed in work and not come out and do your best ability. So any such person, whether it is your colleague or your boss or your peer or your junior, anyone who's trying to exhibit any of these qualities, I would say, or negative behavior, that person comes under the purview of being called toxic, right? And he or she needs to be dealt with in a particular way, because if you don't deal with that person or don't deal with that behavior, what will happen is it will eventually affect your mental health and your mental well-being, which will bother and affect your performance at the workplace. And I've literally had people who've come to me and said that, Swati, I want to quit my job, or I really don't feel like going to work every day, because there are certain elements, certain people in the office who just make me feel so bad, so pathetic. I've seen people who've lost their self-confidence, who really, kind of started doubting themselves despite having such a phenomenal track record in their career. They started to doubt their own ability just because they had such kind of people in their organization who are always undermining their work and critiquing their work. So it's important to identify such behavior and then be able to deal with it in a positive way, in an appropriate way, so that it doesn't take toll on your mental health. So the first thing that you need to do is identify the particular toxic behavior. Now, as easy as it may sound, it's not that easy, because some people are very subtle in their actions. They will not really show it out loud and clear that they have a problem with you and they are behaving in a particular manner. So you'll really have to investigate and understand. For example, if you find someone gossiping behind your back or spreading rumors behind your back, how would you really come to know? That person would not come and tell you that he's doing that, right? So you'll have to probably investigate, understand where that gossip started from. What was the source of the gossip? You could probably say that he told me that thing, and that person will say she told me that thing. The other person will say it came from someone else. So you need to understand certain behavior patterns, and that could obviously come from series of actions, not from one action. You can't determine who is the gossip monger from one particular action, but you will have such events in your in the, if there is a gossiper in your community, in your team, you'll come to know that where this inception or this origination of gossip has occurred, and that's when you can identify the person. That's about the gossip monger. What about the person who is not someone like that, who is showcasing in front of you that he or she is your well wisher, but behind your back is a real has real malign intentions against you? In that situation, look at your body, observe how your body behaves. Now, I'm a strong believer of believing in your gut and believing in your intuition, right? Your body gives you signals, your body or your intuition gives you signals that this person has some malign intentions. So that is something which you have to observe, how you feel around that person. How do you react in that person's presence? Does that person's presence makes you feel comfortable, or you have certain jittery thoughts and negative thoughts coming in your mind? If that is so, then definitely you must address that behavior. Identify the behavior and then look at series of patterns of such negative behavior about that person. Once you identify that this person has this behavior or this kind of toxic behavior for you, then you can start addressing that. So the first element is identify the toxic behavior in the person. After identifying the toxic behavior and the toxic person at your workplace, the best thing or the first thing to do is distance yourself. Okay, set boundaries and distance yourself. Now, it's very important to not get into the conversation, get into the mode of confrontational or trying to solve the behavior or trying to kind of work around the behavior. Such people who have this tendency of being toxic or having such tendencies of having malign intentions or feeling envious about other person, you generally can't deal with that by just talking to them. They, first off, they will not even agree with your thing, with the statement that you made. They'll probably feel that you're putting an allegation on them, and they will say that out loud and clear as well, that you're putting an allegation on me by telling me that I am not a well wisher of yours. Well, don't even try to do all of that. The best way to do it, to deal with it, is start to distance yourself from that person. If you've been spending so much time with that person, you've been having lunch, dinner, whatever, you've been going out with that person, stop that immediately, distance out from that person. That will itself show to that person that that you have got a clue, that you've got an understanding about their intentions and about their actions, and that you are distancing themselves yourself from them. So that's the first thing to do. And also, when you're distancing, more than that, be careful, particularly if the person is a gossip monger. Particularly, do not share any personal information, because that becomes a source of gossip for them. If you're sharing that information, sometimes it happens, and a lot of people have told me, I shared my personal information, my personal stuff with her, and she went ahead telling the entire office about it. So don't do that. Don't just outrightly trust anyone and talk about your personal issues or your personal problems to people, especially if you realize that the person is toxic. Do not do that. Distance yourself, start to maintain your boundaries, your limitations, and completely cut off from that person. If you can do that as well, that's the best thing to do, because that way the person will also understand that you're kind of got the information, and you've got the information about their action and their intention, and you'll also be in a safe space where you're not really getting them in your territory. Now, that was about a person who was a gossip monger or trying to spread rumors about you. But what about a person who's trying to be bossy or sarcastic or critical in your with your behavior or with your actions? How would you deal with that kind of a person? For example, if a person comes to you and always nags at you and always says that, this is not what you've done right, you should do this or you should do that, or maybe calls you for a meeting and starts bombarding you with information, go ahead and do this and that, and so on and so forth, or trying to demean you as well. I would say the first thing that you can do, a smart way to do it, is document everything. Now, don't document their behavior or their actions, but document what you have absorbed from them with respect to what job they want you to do. Okay. For example, if the person, and why I'm saying document everything is because in the workplace, people who are very scared of the people who document everything. Now, I have been very famously known for this in my organization wherever I have worked. Don't just have a conversation and then just get on to the work. What happens most of the times is this only, that people, when on the phone, they will tell you something to do, and or maybe face to face they'll tell you something else to do, and when you actually do that task, they'll say, I never told you to do this. My intention was to say something else, but you misunderstood that. Or maybe they'll put the blame, if the task has not been accomplished in a particular way, they'll put all the blame on you, saying that you should have done it in the proper way, I had told you accordingly. So the best way to do all of that is, when you are particularly in project management positions or when you're working in teams, etc., the best thing to do is document everything. Whatever has been discussed in the meeting, whatever has been communicated to you verbally or face to face or on a phone or whatever, or maybe on a WhatsApp chat as well, go back and write that down on the email, that as discussed, so and so was discussed, I'm supposed to do so and so task, I'm supposed to come back to you on so and so timelines, I'm supposed to get feedback from you on so and so date, and so on and so forth. Whatever your task would be, make sure that you document all of that and keep that person involved, and if possible the immediate boss as well, your boss or that person's boss as well, so that the person has a little bit of fear that he cannot just jeopardize your space, he cannot ruin your space, and kind of find faults in your work while the fault is actually at that person's place. The next thing to do is stand up for yourself. Now, just running away or distancing yourself would not be a situation all the time. Sometimes, if the situation goes beyond control, for example, the person is constantly picking on you, constantly finding faults at you, constantly trying to undermine your performance in front of others in different forums, then it is important for you to take a stand and talk about it, right? And tell that person very, very clearly, categorically, set your boundaries and tell that person what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in their behavior. Now, when you have this conversation, in particular, some things that you have to keep in mind is that you're not blaming them or putting an allegation on them. Your approach should not be like that you do this or you did this. No, it is all about yourself. Keep yourself in the in the center, and make sure that you talk about how you feel and how you felt when that statement was made. So just say that I did not feel it was right when you made that statement, or I was not comfortable when you said this. You should have facts in hand before you should have said that. Or you could have a situation where you just say that I appreciate that you don't talk about my performance and my behavior or my work. I would do that for myself. I don't require anyone else talking about it. Whatever be the situation, be very assertive, be very positive, and take a stand and talk about what you are feeling in that situation, not really putting that person in the center, but yourself and your respect in the center. Okay, so your self-respect should be at the epicenter. uh, Also, one more thing to do is, probably if you feel that that conversation could go overboard and end up into a massive conflict or something, while you know that person's behavior, then in that case I would suggest, don't have this conversation alone with that person. Try and have a third person as well within in that conversation. That will really smoothen up the conversation. That third person could be an HR person from your from your company, or maybe your boss or his boss, or someone else who could be a neutral party, but who could be there present when you're having that conversation with that person. And preferably do it face to face, not on call or not on email. Definitely, all such allegations or all such conversations should be face to face and not really via different methods, right? So try to have a conversation and take up your stand up for yourself. Another thing that you could do is seek support. Seek support, which means if you think, think that situations are getting out of control, that the person is really, really making, your life miserable and really affecting your mental health because of the comments or the issues that the person is creating for you, then in that case, it would be a good idea for you to seek support, either through an person, or if you have an ombudsman in your company, or if you have, if you can reach out to your boss or a mentor or a coach, you could really seek support as to how to handle the situation. Maybe they can give you a little bit more perspective about that situation, looking at the different situations and occurrences that they have done with you, or they can also offer to handle support, or support you in a conversational mode when you're really confronting with that person. So seek support if required, but do not really keep it to yourself, and do not really get sucked up into it and affect your mental health. Don't do that. This next point that I'm going to make, I know that it will not make sense to a lot of people here, but it can probably change your perspective to look at the situation and to look at that person. And that's very important, right? I mean, I have learned it through my techniques, NLP techniques, and that's exactly why I can say that to you now after so much practice, that, I can really reframe the situation by using this situation and by using this technique. So basically, it's about looking at the situation, looking at the person, not from hatred, not from a space of hatred, or not from a space of anger, or not from a space of being irritated with that person, but from a space of looking at that person from his or her perspective as to why that person is doing what he or she is doing. Now, it's not about, I'm not trying to tell you that, heal that person, or go and take care of that person, or have a conversation and try to change that person. That's not something what I'm proposing here. I'm just saying, for you to be able to let go of that situation and to be able to move on, it's very important for you to look at why that person is behaving in such a way, and that it's about his behavior, his intention, his problem in life, and not about you. Because, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that, because I have seen a lot of people, when they get bogged down with constant criticism and constant demeaning by their colleagues, what happens is they go into a shell, they go into, they close themselves, and they are not able to then open up to the world. They feel scared to talk to anyone. I've seen people, I've had situations where people have changed their job as well, but still they're carrying that past baggage of that past toxic person that was there in their life, that toxic colleague who has behaved in a particular way, and that is really affecting their work performance in their current role as well. And that's exactly why I'm saying that you need to look at it from a different lens as well, right? You need to look at the situation from a different lens, trying to understand why this person is behaving in such a way. And how could you do that? You could probably look at it that this person, you could see his behavior, how he is behaving with everyone else as well in the organization. It's not that, and generally you will see that a toxic person doesn't behave in a toxic way only to one particular person, unless and until he has a personal vendetta against you. He or she will not behave in that particular way with you only. The general behavior of that person will be to create disruption in other people's lives, right? And basically, where does it stem from? Where does it root from? It could be a childhood trauma that he or she must have gone through. It could be a past experience that he or she has gone through, which has made him in the way he is. It could be something to do with their upbringing, or their modality, or where they come from, or it could be something which to do with, they have seen leaders doing that and they are following the same pursuit. So it could be anything, it could be absolutely anything. But the reason why I'm saying that you should look at it from another lens is so that you can empathize with that person, you can feel pity for that person, you can let go of that person, rather than having hatred for that person, or anger for that person, or demeaning your own self, or shattering your own self confidence, right? So this perspective is very, very important. If you are in any situation in your office, particularly when you're dealing with toxic colleagues, do not take it personally on yourself. The person is like in question is like that, and that is exactly why he or she is creating disruption in a lot of people's lives. It's nothing to do about you. Please do not take it personally and attack your self esteem. And as a last resort, if nothing works out, if you've tried everything, you've tried talking to the person, you've tried distancing from that person, you've tried seeking support, you've tried help from your managers, nothing is working, then I would suggest the last thing that you should do is decide when you need to walk away. Sometimes it's not worth it. It's not worth to demean your self respect. It's not worth to undermine your self confidence. It's not worth to shatter your emotional health just for a job or just for a particular person. So then it's about time for you to realize and take that conscious decision that now it's time to move out of this organization, leave this place. Either you move out of the organization or the department or the function, whatever you can do, but do not be around that person. That's very important. You have to make that conscious call. A lot of times I've seen people drag with that toxic behavior and be with that person, be with that boss or be with that colleague for a long time. What happens is, someone just keeps nagging at you, going on and on in that behavior. It is going to shatter you, not that person. So it's very important for you to take a conscious call. If respect is not served on the table, get up and walk away. That's very, very important. So, in conclusion, friends, dealing with toxic behavior at workplace can be challenging sometimes, particularly when you're spending 9 to 10 hours at your workplace and dealing with one such person or two such people through and through the day. It can become challenging. But the good part is that there are ways and methods to deal with it. You can either identify the situation first, set boundaries, distance yourself, talk to the person, seek support. If nothing else works, just decide to walk away. But yes, try out all these things before you decide to walk away, because you can't just keep jumping organizations just because of a toxic behavior, right? You've got to learn to deal with it. Okay, so that was it from my side, friends. I hope this video was beneficial for you. If you like this video, please go ahead and share this with all your friends and colleagues. A lot of people need to know how to deal with such behavior at workplace, right? So do share this video with them as well. And I will see you next time with some more interesting videos for working professional. Till such time, you do take care of yourself. Bye bye.